Welcome to The Explainer. Okay, let's just dive right into this. You know, for as long as we can remember, we've basically been told that the ultimate giants of Earth's history walked on land, right? We all picture those massive, ground-shaking dinosaurs just towering over the prehistoric landscape. And hey, there's absolutely no doubt they were huge. But what if I told you that researchers have actually unearthed fossils of creatures that make our beloved land dinosaurs look, well, completely ordinary? Today, we're going to completely shatter that whole misconception and look at the actual titans of this planet. We're talking creatures whose size, power, and just sheer mystery literally rival any sci-fi monster you could possibly dream up.
Think about our familiar idea of giant dinosaurs for a second, and then compare that to the hidden truth. As we'll see throughout this explainer, the true monsters didn't actually roam the plains. No, they lurked in the dark, boundless depths of our ancient oceans. And honestly, the most terrifying part is that the scale of these creatures just escalates the further back we look. But before we travel back hundreds of millions of years, let's actually start with a giant that's still hiding in our oceans right now. I want you to imagine something for just a second. You're scuba diving in the Pacific Ocean, about 2,000 feet or 600 meters down. The sunlight has completely faded, you're just surrounded by pitch darkness. Now, what emerges from those shadows? You'd probably expect a shark, right? But instead, this giant, spindly creature slowly starts walking towards you out of the abyss. I mean, most people would absolutely panic. Meet the Japanese spider crab. The sheer scale of this modern creature is just terrifying. Its leg span can reach up to 12 feet, which is about 3.7 meters. To put that into perspective, if this crab fully stretched out its legs, it would cover the exact same amount of space as a small family car. Crazy, right? But here's where we kind of subvert expectations. Because despite looking literally like a monster from a horror movie, it's completely harmless to humans. It's actually just a gentle scavenger that survives by eating dead animals, small fish, and marine organisms right along the ocean floor. Oh, and amazingly, this thing can live up to 100 years. Now, while our oceans for sure still hold giants today, the true monsters really appear when we start traveling backward in time. Long before the megalodon or any modern sharks ruled the waters, the ancient oceans were an absolute battleground. So why did these ancient oceans hold such massive monsters? Well, it was basically a wild evolutionary arms race in these vast, nutrient-rich environments. Let's travel way back to 390 million years ago. If someone asked you to name the ocean's most dangerous ancient predator, you'd probably guess some kind of giant shark, right? But 390 million years ago, the true king of the sea was a giant scorpion known as Yakalopterus. And guys, this wasn't just your standard bug. This was an 8.5 foot or 2.5 meter sea scorpion. That means this underwater nightmare was significantly taller than a fully grown human. It had incredible eyesight, which allowed it to sense movement from afar, and it launched its attacks with the speed of lightning. In fact, sources actually describe its claws as functioning literally like the grip of an industrial machine. Just imagine being caught in that. Once Yakalopterus grabbed its prey, marine animals of the time stood absolutely zero chance. If you were diving back then and this giant scorpion darted at you from the depths, you wouldn't even have time to swim away. Luckily for us, they've been extinct for millions of years. But they were really just the beginning. Okay, let's jump even further back, all the way to 470 million years ago. Sharks and whales didn't even exist yet, but Camarasaurus definitely did. Now, at first glance, you might look at this and think it's a giant squid, but it was actually encased in this massive, 36-foot cone-shaped shell. That is the length of a double-decker bus. It would slowly move through the dark waters, keeping its soft body hidden inside the shell, while its tentacles actively searched for prey. And here's the wildest part. It didn't even have teeth. When a fish got close, Camarasaurus used its powerful tentacles to grip the prey and then just finished it off with a tough, rigid beak, kind of like a parrot's. It was without a doubt the undisputed top predator of its era. Fast forward through the timeline a bit, and the oceans just continue to breed nightmares. In 1834, these strange, massive fossils were discovered in America and Egypt. Scientists were so incredibly convinced they had found a giant marine reptile that they named it Basilosaurus, which translates to king lizard. But, well, further investigations revealed a pretty shocking truth. Basilosaurus was no lizard. It was actually an early ancient whale. And it might have just been the most dangerous whale to ever exist. So what actually made it so dangerous? Well, Basilosaurus was 65 feet or 20 meters long. That's the size of a 6-story building. But unlike the bulky whales we know today, it had this long, almost snake-like body. And crucially, it didn't have those baleen blades that modern whales use to filter food. Instead, its mouth was absolutely packed with sharp, predatory teeth. We know for a fact this wasn't a gentle giant because scientists found the fossilized bones of large fish and, get this, other whales right inside its stomach contents. It was a ruthless, bloodthirsty predator that actively hunted its own relatives. But as we keep exploring why ancient oceans held such massive monsters, we quickly realize that not all giants were violent predators, which brings us to a really fascinating question. How on earth could a fish larger than a school bus survive without any teeth? Well, back in 1889, an English scientist named Alfred Leeds actually discovered the answer.
The sheer awe-inspiring scale of the filter feeders that evolved in these waters is just staggering. When you compare them to a standard school bus, or even the 69-foot marine reptile Chaetosaurus, the Jurassic fish Leedsichthys absolutely towered over them all at an unbelievable 88 feet. That's 27 meters. The scale of that is just visually incredible.
So how did these gentle giants actually survive at that colossal size? Well, Leachiocythus simply opened its massive mouth and swallowed immense amounts of plankton and microscopic organisms. The secret here, and a really big reason why ancient oceans could sustain these types of monsters, is that Jurassic oceans contained quantities of plankton that were many times greater than what we have today. They literally never ran out of food. Meanwhile, the 69-foot Chaetosaurus had tiny or completely missing teeth. It survived by sucking up soft-bodied creatures like squids. But remember, the ancient oceans were totally unforgiving. Even at 88 feet long, Leachiocythus was still considered prey. Deep bite marks found on its fossils prove that predators of the time were brave enough and definitely big enough to attack a fish larger than a school bus.
Okay, let's briefly pivot over to land for a second, because to truly appreciate the ultimate weight of the final ocean monster we're going to look at, we kind of need a benchmark. In 1993, researchers down in Argentina found bones so unbelievably large, they totally shattered our understanding of land animals, officially introducing us to Argentinosaurus.
Just let this sink in for a moment. They found a single footprint large enough for an entire group of humans to stand inside. Argentinosaurus was a massive plant eater that consumed hundreds of kilos of vegetation every single day just to survive. It was 131 feet long, which is the equivalent of 3 city buses lined up back to back, and it weighed an estimated 90 tons or 90,000 kilograms. When this thing walked, the ground must have shaken like a small earthquake. It definitely holds the crown for the most gigantic creature by size. But when it comes to pure unadulterated weight, yeah, the ocean completely reclaims its throne.
Which brings us to a truly mind-blowing discovery. And the crazy part is, we don't have to look back to the 1800s for this one. The timeline snaps right back to the very recent present, 2023. Down in the desert region of Peru, scientists unearthed some absolutely bizarre, unrecognizable fossils. And what they found is quite literally forcing us to rewrite the history books on animal size. 340 tons. That is the staggering upper estimate for this newly discovered ancient whale named Perusitis colossus. To be totally precise with our source data here, the estimated weight ranges from 180 to 340 tons, which the source notes translates to 1,480 to 3,400 kilograms. Whatever the final exact math proves to be, the implications are honestly chilling. If these estimates hold true, it completely crushes the weight of the Argentinosaurus and even outweighs today's massive blue whales by a very significant margin.
So the really crucial point here is how this animal actually functioned. Researchers haven't even found the full skeleton yet, just these extremely thick vertebrae, ribs, and hip bones. But the sheer density of these bones told scientists basically everything they needed to know. You see, the bones were much thicker and way heavier than a modern whale's. Why? Well, because the super heavy skeleton acted as a ballast, stabilizing its massive 100-foot body right near the ocean floor. It's just an entirely different evolutionary path to survival, perfectly adapted to the extreme conditions of the ancient deep.
And that brings us to a final pretty thrilling thought. If we only just discovered the heaviest animal in the history of our planet in 2023, just hiding in the sand of a Peruvian desert, what other giants are still out there? I mean, the ocean is vast, it's dark, and it is still largely unexplored. It holds the secrets of an evolutionary arms race that produced monsters way beyond our wildest imaginations. So what else is just waiting in the dark to be discovered? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and definitely keep questioning what you think you know about our incredible planet.